30 on 7.
Exciting times here for the 2000 Brownlow Medal. Our leader at the moment, we had to have him in front at some stage tonight, is Anthony Koutafidis, who's polled in 8 games and had 4 best on grounds and leads by 1 vote at the moment. He does get injured in round 20. Scott West is also, he's had 3 best on grounds, polled in 8 games. He's been up near the lead all the way. He trails by 1. Brett Ratton is right in this with 8 games and 3 best on ground. So the Carlton boys at the top, Shane Woden, such similar figures. 8 matches he's polled in with 3 best on grounds. He's been near the lead all the way. James Hird probably doesn't play enough games now to be truthful. And behind him is Nathan Buckley. And Collingwood did win a couple of games late in the year, so maybe Bucks could still do it. So Kuta leads at this stage. Well, 2 very simple words that convey such deep meaning. Brownlow medalists. For those who have won this honour, it carries a weight that cannot be measured. And this year we again pay tribute to a former winner, a man who has carried the honour with more dignity and for longer than most.
Richard Sylvanus Reynolds turned 85 in June. To kids of another generation, he was the king, a man of grace, of speed, of rare athletic ability. You have to be in your mid-50s to remember the man in the number 3 Guernsey with the shock of black hair, guiding his beloved Bombers to the last of his 4 premierships. He played against Bunton. He duelled with Jack Dyer. He was a modest champion who shared the limelight with another man of similar ilk in Billy Hutchinson. And he helped groom perhaps the greatest of superstars, John Coleman. Reynolds won 3 Brownlow medals. The first as a 19-year-old, some 67 years ago. When people look back at the deeds of King Richard, they use words like gentleman, class, and dignity. This is a man who played football with the regal bearing that earned him such a majestic moniker. In a new millennium, we pay tribute to a great man, to one of football's living treasures.
Dick Reynolds, ladies and gentlemen, 85 years young, and his wonderful wife Jean with him again tonight, as she always is. To the Reynolds, great to have you here, as always. And Dick carried the torch recently, carried the Olympic torch. He's a fit young man at 85. Round 18, just 5 rounds to go, and we started with a Friday night. It was the Bombers and the Dockers.
Still, the records rolled out for the Bombers. Coach Sheedy made it 300 wins. His side equalled Collingwood's record of 18 straight home and away wins. The Dockers went down by a demoralising 87 points. Matthew Lloyd chipped in with 9 goals. Despite the great play of Hocking, Geelong again struggled to hold on to a sizable 3/4 time lead. This time Adelaide crept to within 7 points. A thrilling and seesawing encounter between Melbourne and Sydney was split apart as the Demons booted 8 goals in the last quarter. Farmer kicked 4. The poor crowd of 9,000 saw the Kangaroos at home to Richmond in Sydney. Veterans Carey and Blakey great contributors with 4 goals each in a 78-point win.
If Johnny wasn't married, I'd be taking him around my place for tea and asking me to take my daughter out.
After 6 losses in a row, the Eagles bounced back to defeat St Kilda. Djakovic with 34 possessions and 13 marks, a giant in defence. Port Adelaide upset the Bulldogs by 8 goals at Football Park. Chad Corns kicking 5 for the victors. It was promoted as the last suburban battle, but only 30,000 could be squeezed into Optus Oval to see Carlton annihilate Collingwood by 111 points. Ratton had the ball on a string, while Whitnell and Houghton each kicked 5 in the rout. The Hawks moved back into finals contention by surprising Brisbane at the Gabba. Big men Holland and Salmon starring in a 3-goal win.
Round 18, Essendon versus Fremantle.
Essendon, James Seedy, 1 vote. Essendon, B. Caracella, 2 votes. Essendon, M. Lloyd, 3 votes. Geelong versus Adelaide. Geelong, B. Graham, 1 vote. Adelaide, M. Robran, 2 votes. Adelaide, A. McLeod, 3 votes. Melbourne versus Sydney. Melbourne, S.Y. Woden, 1 vote. Sydney, D. Creswell, 2 votes. Melbourne, J. McDonald, 3 votes. Kangaroos versus Richmond. Kangaroos, S. Grant, 1 vote. Kangaroos, M. Burton, 2 votes. Kangaroos, J. Blakey, 3 votes. West Coast Eagles versus St Kilda. St Kilda, S. Lowe, 1 vote. West Coast, Philip Matera, 2 votes. West Coast, D. Kemp, 3 votes. Port Adelaide versus Western Bulldogs. Port Adelaide, P. Burgoyne, 1 vote. Port Adelaide, S. Dew, 2 votes. Port Adelaide, R. James, 3 votes. Carlton versus Collingwood. Carlton, T. Houghton, 1 vote. Carlton, M. Porter, 2 votes. Carlton, A. Hamill, 3 votes. Brisbane versus Hawthorn. Hawthorn, P. Salmon, 1 vote. Hawthorn, T. Crode, 2 votes. Hawthorn, N. Holland, 3 votes.
He probably hasn't been travelling that well, and we always play someone in the form, and tonight it was Corey McKernan.
8 goals to Corey McKernan in his best game of the season set up the Kangaroos win over Geelong at Colonial. Along with skipper Carey, the 2 Roux Giants dominated. Adelaide gained revenge for its 20-goal loss to the Eagles earlier in the season with a 3-goal win at home in Arctic conditions. McLeod with 4, the Crows' best. The Blues' run of 13 straight wins, including 11 at home, came to an end when the Bulldogs snatched a 3-point victory. Garlick kicked 6 for the Dogs, but it was that man Cooter supplying the opposition. Teammates, past and present, provided a guard of honour for Paul Salmon's service to both clubs. A virtuoso performance by the Bombers saw an 83-point victory and 19 straight wins. Skipper Michael Voss engineered Brisbane's 67-point thrashing of Port Adelaide at the Gabba. Later that afternoon, Richmond recovered from a 4-game losing streak to defeat Fremantle in Perth and keep its finals hopes intact. Gasper Great in defence for the Tigers.
And today you just saw a guy who, if he's not all Australian centre-half back, he's got to be back pocket or half-back flank, I would have thought. So he hasn't been beaten this year.
Michael O'Loughlin sparked Sydney with a third-quarter blitz and finished with 6 goals in a 20-point win over Collingwood at the MCG.
Mick's a special player, and it's when he's on song, it's like a lot of the good players at other clubs, like the Cooter Feeds. It's pretty hard to stop them when on song.
Once again, Melbourne had to produce a special last quarter, this time to fight off a dogged St Kilda. Uze starred for the Demons in a torrid 3-goal win.
Uze from long range.
Round 19, Kangaroos versus Geelong. Kangaroos, L. Colbert, 1 vote. Kangaroos, P. Bell, 2 votes. Kangaroos, C. McKernan, 3 votes. Carlton versus Western Bulldogs. Carlton, S. Camperelli, 1 vote. Western Bulldogs, S. Wind, 2 votes. Western Bulldogs, S. Garlick, 3 votes. Essendon versus Hawthorn. Essendon, S. Lucas, 1 vote. Essendon, M. Lloyd, 2 votes. Essendon, M. Mercury, 3 votes. Brisbane Lions versus Port Adelaide. Brisbane, C. Johnson, 1 vote. Brisbane, M. Voss, 2 votes. Brisbane, J. Ackermanis, 3 votes. Fremantle versus Richmond. Richmond, G. Giventale, 1 vote. Richmond, A. Kellaway, 2 votes. Richmond, W. Campbell, 3 votes. Collingwood versus Sydney. Sydney, W. Swass, 1 vote. Sydney G. Stafford, 2 votes. Sydney M. O'Loughlin, 3 votes. St Kilda versus Melbourne. Melbourne S. Powell, 1 vote. St Kilda A. Thompson, 2 votes. Melbourne J. White, 3 votes. Adelaide versus West Coast Eagles. West Coast Eagles B. Cousins, 1 vote. West Coast Eagles D. Kemp, 2 votes. Adelaide A. McLeod, 3 votes.
Boy, do we have a cliffhanger here with Shane Woden and Anthony Koutoufides on top with 19, but a number of players within 1 vote with 3 rounds to go. We'll take a break, and after the break we'll check the leaders board and bring it to a climax. It's the 2000 Brownlow Medal count.